They thought he was invisible, a janitor shuffling through school hallways with a mop and a bucket, the man no one noticed, the man no one respected. To the students, he was Danny Mop. To the teachers, he was a shadow. And to the principal, Harold Benton, he was nothing more than a punching bag. But Daniel Whitaker wasn't as simple as he looked. Behind his quiet eyes was a man who remembered every insult, every laugh, every order barked at him like he was worthless. And one stormy spring night in 2017, the school's forgotten janitor would prove just how dangerous it can be to underestimate someone. The day it happened started like any other. Daniel pushed his cart down the empty hallways, head down, silent, invisible. But as he passed the principal's office, he caught something, words that froze him in his tracks. Benton's voice, low and hurried, leaking out from behind the half-closed door. "It'll be gone before the audit. The foundation money will be cleaned by summer." Daniel stood there, broom in hand, heart pounding. Benton was stealing. The principal who mocked him in front of others, who treated him like dirt, was embezzling millions from the school foundation, the money meant for scholarships, for children's futures. And in that moment, something inside Daniel shifted. For the first time in 20 years, he wasn't invisible. He saw an opening, and he took it. Over the next 3 months, Daniel planned. He learned Benton's patterns. He watched the basement safe where the money was stored. He memorized the numbers Benton punched into the keypad. He timed the security patrols, the camera blind spots, even the sound of his own mop cartwheels. At night, when the halls were empty, Daniel practiced the moves he would one day make for real. And with each passing day, the plan grew sharper, colder, bolder. On April 11th, 2017, the storm rolled in. Rain lashed against the windows, thunder rattled the glass. At 9:42 p.m., Benton himself carried 2 briefcases down to the basement. He opened the safe, slid them inside, and walked away, never even glancing at the janitor mopping nearby. By 10:15, the halls were silent. Daniel pushed his cart into the basement. His hands didn't shake. He entered the code. The safe door opened with a quiet click, and there it was. Stacks of cash, bundles upon bundles wrapped tight, more money than Daniel had ever seen in his life. $8 million, sitting in silence, waiting for him. He moved fast, stuffing the garbage bags full, layering them under rags, sprays, and bottles of bleach. To anyone watching, it looked like nothing more than a janitor hauling trash. At 10:29 p.m., the cameras caught him leaving the building through a side door, just a lonely worker finishing his shift on a rainy night. By morning, Daniel Whitaker was gone. So was the money. When Benton opened the safe the next day, the blood drained from his face. The cash was gone. The police were called. The school erupted in chaos, but Benton had a problem. He couldn't admit how much had really been stolen without exposing his own embezzlement. So publicly, he said only a few $1,000s was missing. Privately, investigators uncovered the truth. Millions had vanished, and now Benton himself was under investigation. The powerful principal who had mocked the janitor for decades was suddenly the one in handcuffs, charged with fraud, embezzlement, and obstruction of justice. But where was Daniel? Some say he fled to Mexico under a new identity, living quietly with a fortune. Others believe he scattered the money, leaving caches buried in small towns across Illinois. And then there are the whispers that he sent anonymous scholarships to students, donations marked only by the Whitaker Fund. The truth is, no one ever found him. His old Toyota Corolla was discovered near a bus depot 2 weeks later. Beyond that, nothing. Daniel Whitaker had vanished into the storm. $8 million, a lifetime of humiliation, and a janitor who turned the tables on the man who treated him like nothing. Maybe Daniel is still out there, blending in, sweeping floors in another town, while a fortune sits just out of sight. Or maybe someone silenced him before he could ever spend it. What's certain is this. For 20 years, no one looked twice at Daniel Whitaker, but after that night, no one would ever forget his name. So the question remains, did the janitor escape with the money? Or did justice catch up to him before we ever knew? For months after Daniel Whitaker vanished with $8 million, the case went cold. No sightings, no bank withdrawals, no trace of a man who'd spent half his life sweeping floors in silence. Detectives combed through every detail of his life. His apartment was bare, no signs of packing, no hidden stash of cash. His car, found abandoned near a Greyhound bus depot, held nothing but a mop, a bucket, and 2 faded photographs of his late mother. To investigators, it looked like Daniel had evaporated. But then came the first whisper. A scholarship check arrived at a small high school 2 states away. It was anonymous. The amount? $25,000, enough to pay for a struggling student's entire college tuition. The signature at the bottom simply read, "The Whitaker Fund." Word spread fast. Weeks later, another donation appeared, this time in Ohio, then another in Kansas. None traceable, all in crisp bills. Investigators realized the janitor who vanished with millions wasn't spending it on himself. He was giving it away. But if Daniel was secretly redistributing the fortune, where was he hiding? The FBI traced the checks to regional post offices. Security cameras showed a hooded figure mailing the envelopes at night. Same build, same height, same deliberate shuffle of a man pushing 60. It had to be him. But every time they got close, he disappeared again, like smoke in the wind. And while Daniel was a ghost, Principal Harold Benton was very real and very desperate. Facing trial for embezzlement, Benton cut a deal with prosecutors. In exchange for leniency, he pointed the finger squarely at Daniel, painting him as a cunning criminal mastermind. But Benton's words backfired. His credibility was shredded, and the community turned on him. Parents who once trusted him now saw him as the architect of their school's betrayal. But then, something happened that no one expected. In November of 2018, a year after Daniel's disappearance, a construction crew outside St. Louis made a chilling discovery. Buried in an abandoned field was a sealed steel drum. Inside, bundles of cash, still marked with the foundation's bank tags. Over $600,000 wrapped in plastic, perfectly preserved. Why would Daniel bury part of his fortune? Was it a stash he never returned to collect, or a decoy left behind to taunt investigators? As the FBI dug deeper, more discoveries surfaced. A cabin in rural Indiana, abandoned but with traces of someone living there recently. Food wrappers, a mattress on the floor, a wall map with red pins marking cities across the Midwest. In the corner, a handwritten note, "They never saw me. They never will." The case was no longer about stolen money. It was about a man who had turned his life of invisibility into a weapon. A janitor no one respected had outplayed federal agents, law enforcement, and his corrupt boss. But just as investigators thought Daniel was slipping further away, a new twist shattered everything. In early 2019, a witness came forward, a truck driver who swore he picked up an older man hitchhiking near the Missouri border. The man introduced himself as Dan. He was quiet, polite, and carried nothing but a duffel bag. But before leaving, the driver noticed something strange. A roll of bills, bound with a bank tag identical to those from the missing $8 million. That driver's testimony reignited the case. The FBI widened their net. They believed Daniel was still alive, still moving across the Midwest, hiding in plain sight. But the closer they got, the stranger the trail became. Because with every lead, another question emerged. If Daniel was mailing out money, why was he burying it too? Was he saving it for himself, or scattering it so no one could ever claim it all? And then came the most chilling development yet. In March 2019, the FBI received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a single photograph, grainy black and white. It showed a man mopping the floor of what looked like a diner, head bowed, shoulders slumped. On the back, scrawled in shaky handwriting, were 4 words, "Still here, still watching." The envelope had no return address, no fingerprints, no DNA, but tucked inside was something else, half of a torn bus ticket. The other half has never been found. And now investigators were left wondering, was Daniel Whitaker taunting them from the shadows? Or had someone else taken control of the money, using his name as a mask? Because if Daniel was still alive, he wasn't just the janitor who disappeared. He had become something else entirely. And the next clue in his trail would be darker than anyone expected. Is Daniel still alive? Should the police believe the truck driver? Drop your comment below. Follow for part 2 because the truth is about to be exposed, coming soon.